Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Miles, and this is our fourth and last video in the Who's at Your Table series. This video we call the table, and what that actually means is it is a metaphoric process that we present to you that allows you to understand the nuances of the parts of you and how these parts interact with each other. So I'm trained in Gestalt therapy, and one of the tools that we use in Gestalt is called two-chair work. If you Google two-chair work, it will come up. It is a process of how we help people to explore. That's, for lack of a better way of putting it, explore what's happening within them, or explore something that they might be experiencing in a relationship. It's helpful in perspective taking. It's helpful in communication. So basically, what we do at the table is, instead of two-chair work, we basically do six-chair work. And it's a tool that helps you to explore and understand how your parts, not the parts, your parts, experience the relational internal process that's happening. How parts can get into conflict with each other. How basically you can understand that through how you might feel two ways about something, or how you might even feel three ways about something. So it is one of the tools that we use to help you to begin to make connection with your parts. We have many tools that we use. We will use meditation, imagination, physical movement, sensory experiences. Mindfulness is probably one of the biggest tools that we use. And so the table is just really one tool. Let's see what the table looks like. So the table is a tool that we present to people that helps them to create some inner dialogue. So here's a visual of how it works. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts. Now, I recognize that in the parts model, we only talk about 6 parts. The 7th is wisdom. So wisdom is at the head of the table. Then we have attach. Now these, I'm just placing them anywhere. Flight, fight, freeze, submit, and going on with life. Okay, so the way that we present this, it's a metaphor. However, at any time, if you think about this as a meeting, okay, so all of your parts are going to sit down and they're going to have a board meeting. There's an issue for you, okay? This is you. This is the whole totality of you. And there's an issue, and you are wanting to figure out what is going on. All of your parts will have a perspective of what's going on. So flight might have one perspective of how they're seeing things. Fight might have another perspective about how they're seeing things. And maybe wisdom has a perspective of how they're seeing things. The whole totality of you gets seen and heard in this kind of metaphoric process of communicating with self. Often in first sessions, what we will present to people is that our goal in helping you is to build a relationship with yourself. And this is the pathway that we use to help you kind of get to know yourself. So the way this works is, and this is, we use the language of unblending or feeling hijacked or just feeling like one part of you is taking over and you don't have access to other parts. And usually the part of us that we struggle to have access to is wisdom. And part of why that's happening is, so I'm going to use flight as an example. Okay. So here is, I am struggling with a friend. Okay. It's not necessarily even conflict. It's just differing views on something. And we are really struggling to stay present with each other because those views are very strong. So let's say I'm in the process of sitting down with my friend like literally I'm sitting down with my friend and we're going to talk about this thing. And I'm feeling like I'm pretty wise in the moment that I'm talking about it. However, she starts to say something that gives that feeling of like, I don't agree with this. So what happens is flight will kind of come forward for me, and flight goes over to wisdom's chair inside of me and says, hey, can I chair this meeting? And wisdom will always get out of the chair. Wisdom will always step aside and say, sure, go ahead. Then what happens is now I'm sitting across from my friend and I can feel myself like literally like, I don't want to be here. I'm out of here. I don't care. I'm now bailing on the conversation. And I originally didn't want to do that, but I can feel that in fact, I say, I'm kind of feeling like, you know what? I got to go. I have to go. And I'm going to end that conversation. I'm going to wrap it up as quickly as I can because I've just gone into flight. I don't want to do this anymore. So I'm going to leave. And there are times where if we are not in awareness, that process is actually called hijacking. So no other part of me gets an opportunity because fight could have easily stepped in that situation and offered up some of the perspective that we have. However, flight now is like, we're out of here. So that's kind of the hijacking process that occurs. And the other thing that can happen is that our parts don't necessarily agree with each other or may have inner conflict. So fight may actually become in conflict with attach, because attach wants to approach, and attach wants to be liked, attach wants love, attach wants attention, and fight's like, no, don't care. So it's the difference between approach and stay away. And so that dynamic can play out for us as well in our relationships, because these two parts of us are in opposition with each other. Or flight and freeze they show up differently. So freeze is like, I don't know what to do. There's that freezy kind of anxiety feeling, and flight just wants to get out. So let's say I am presenting at a conference and I'm feeling really nervous about it. Flight's going to want to just go. Let's just leave. We don't have to be here. But freeze is like, no, we have to be here. But it's that feeling of anxiety. So they're not necessarily in conflict, but they are in opposition in what their role is and what their function is in protecting me. So how we work with this is, first of all, we help you to make sure that all parts are building a relationship with wisdom. That wisdom is the strongest and most supportive part of us. And this part of us holds everything that we need to know, everything that feels loving and supporting within us. So that's what we try to do first, is help you to, first of all, get to know these parts. Wisdom being the primary support, or the self, that deeper place within us. And we try to get this dynamic going. And then what can happen is wisdom can be the overall arching relationship, right? So then when this is happening, when these direct oppositions are happening, wisdom can come in kind of like a mediator and help both parts to feel heard and seen and supported. And so that is like the basics of how the table works, and how we present this to you is in a metaphor that allows you to go in and build a relationship with these parts of yourself.